Hey, beautiful people, what up? This is the Affinity Midwife coming to you once again. I hope y'all are taking care of yourselves. Y'all had a good time during this weekend. Yo, we in the month of May. We are switching up gear. We are getting into the space of love, the space of healing, the space of abundance. Look outside of your window. The sun is shining. This is the time to let your inner light shine through the world, is what I'm hearing. All right, you guys. So, because this is the collective shadow, we're talking about all aspects that needs to be brought into the light, that we need to birth into the light so that you can become the greatest, the beautiful, the most ever evolved, continuously version of yourself. So that being said, today we're going to talk about control. Ooh, that's a big one. That's a big one. Let's dive right into this. So why do we need to talk about control? As y'all know, this thing that we call this era of bondage, or this era in which we were living in, was pretty much based into controlling different aspects of life, controlling how life expresses itself, controlling how us human beings interact in this life, how we experience the world. There has been this form of control that made us think of how we use how we were supposed to be expressing ourselves, how we're supposed to be interacting with our own selves, how we were supposed to be interacting with others. So we've been living in this era for quite some time, and we're getting out of there now. Because we're doing it on an individual level that will be reflective on a collective level, we have to come to this understanding that in order to really fully get out of that space of blockage, that space of bondage, that space of hurt and pain, we need to let go. We need to let go of what? Yes, of old wounds. Yes, of pains. Yes, of traumas, if you've been there. Yes, of false beliefs, false ideologies, all these things. But you also need to let go of control, right? Because those attachments, one way or the other, they are helping you have this certain control that you feel you must have over your life. Let's just say, for instance, okay, you have this belief that, your life needs to be in order. It needs to be set and needs to be done in a certain order. And when it does not go in that certain order, you have this sense of, of chaos, right? You lose it, or, you are not fully feeling that you're in your power because, again, you don't grasp or you don't have full control of whatever it is, whatever it is that you usually have control over. It may be your environment. It may be the way you think. It may be the way you express yourself. It may be the way you present yourself into the world. It could be how you exchange with one another, how you perceive your relationships, how you perceive friendships, how you perceive your boundaries. All of these things could be things that can be changed, could be evolved, could be questioned. So when we're talking about releasing control, we are ultimately talking about, what if today, okay? Let me just give you an example. What if today, okay, everything just shattered in your life, okay? Let's say, for instance, you have a family, or I don't know. I don't want to put out any negativity out there, but what if your entire life just shattered? Everything that you've ever known just shattered. Your relationships shattered. Friendships shattered to the ground. House that you live in, I don't know, taken back. Job done. Like, what if you came to a space of losing everything that you ever held on to, or that put you in that constant space of security? What if, like today something happened and that totally shattered your definition of what security feels like or comfort feels like? What would you do? what state of mind would you be in? Would you be okay with it? Would you be resisting to it? Would you want to fight it? Would you want to go against it? Would you want to try not to make it crumble all the way down to the ground? So what do we do when we are face to face with things, ideologies, concepts, ways of being, habits, maybe people even in our lives, where we feel like it's no longer working, or is no longer, is no longer sustainable, okay? And then what do we do? Or what if it's not working? And then we lose control over those things that aren't working anymore, right? And then we become very vulnerable because, again, we feel like what we've known, what we've been comfortable in, is completely being destroyed, or, is crumbling. So what do? We get shaky, right? We get fearful because we don't know what's going to happen next. Okay. I'm personally talking from experience because I've lived it, but I'm just here to say, it's okay. It's okay to go through these things. It's okay to not know what to do next. Okay. But in order to actually, take a step back and realize, like, hey, although this has crumbled, I lost my house, or my house got repoed, or my car got repoed, and I lost my job, or this person that I'm with is not working anymore, I'm getting a divorce, blah blah blah. Like, everything is crumbling around you, but know that you're still here. Know that you still exist. Know that you're still breathing. Know, even though you could be in the space of thinking that you're at your worst, or that you hit rock bottom, just the fact that you have your breath with you is a reminder that not all is completely done. Not all is completely destroyed, right? So there's hope for things to be rebuilt. There are things that sometimes happen that completely takes you out of your lane, or you feel completely you feel completely out of control, right? Because you can't control whatever outcome is surrounding you or in your environment, but what you can control, some people will say, is your reaction to it, is your attitude, but it's really your internal well-being. Can you come to a space of deepening your breath while everything around you is crumbling down to the floor? Can you hold space for yourself while you are experiencing those things, those emotions, those shaky things on the external that are being displayed in front of your two eyes? What can you do to surrender? All right? And, there are a lot of things that can help. There are a lot of things that you can do, but you can just simply start by being anchored in your breath. That is the one thing that can definitely bring you back to that sense of security, or that sense of knowing that, hey, I am still breathing. I still got my breath here. I may be injured, but I'm still breathing here. Okay, there's still some hope happening here. I'm not, not everything is crumbling, because I'm still here. I'm breathing. I'm alive. So therefore, everything that may be seemed chaotic, or that is being destroyed in front of me, maybe there is a lesson that needs to be learned here. When you take up the time to really live things in a distance, you can come to the realization that things need to be destroyed in order to be rebuilt better, right? And so with that control, because we've been living in this constant reminder that we need to have control of the situation. You need to have control over your emotions. You need to have control. Like, we've been reminded ever since we were kids, right? how to control yourself when you are out there in society, how you shouldn't be throwing tantrums. You should control how you respond to adults, how you should be polite and disciplined and this and this and that. Like, control has been a constant in our lives, how we should be, evolve, grow, attain material things, and get to where we need to go, right? It has always been about controlling, maybe not necessarily having control over what we can do or the things that we can change in our environment, but absolutely being in that space of controlling or thinking that we have control over our external environment, which is not quite true, right? We've been living this life upside down, thinking that the control that we need to have is the power we apply on people, we apply on our children, the pressure that we put upon ourselves to keep a job that we may not like, or the pressure that we put upon ourselves to buy this house, to buy this car, because we need to live up to a certain standard, right? So all these things that we put upon ourselves is because we want to have that control, because we've been living with this false belief and illusion that we only get worthy or are worthy when we get those things, when we are in control of our external environment. But it's actually the other way around. If you can sit down with yourself, and start, not by necessarily controlling whatever's going on internally, but just holding space, observe what the type of thoughts that are constantly running through your mind. Can you question them? Can you hold space for your broken heart? Can you hold space for the jealousy and the envy that's going on inside for whatever reason is happening? Can you hold space for that? Can you deepen your breath and just allow life to flow through you? And when we get to that space of knowing that, your breath is literally the only thing that you can, well, first of all, we need to understand, like, we've been breathing in a very shallow way. Like, our breath can very much deepen, but when we get into those exercises of breathing and deepening the breath and reconnecting to the breath, and by reconnecting to the breath, we just allow our thoughts to flow. We just allow life to flow through us. We can then come into a space of surrendering. And when we surrender, we're no longer trying to have control over people, try to have control over circumstances, try to have control over our finances, try to have control over, all types of resources. We're no longer in a space of wanting to control or to exploit, but we come to a sense or a piece of management. We come into this space of leadership where we're no longer trying to control, but we're just trying to allocate whatever resources or energy or attention towards the things that we want to experience. I'll say that again. So when we let go of control, we let go of the things that we think that we have to hold on to because, is what we've been taught ever since we've been young or we've been a child. We've been taught a certain way that, we need to have control over these things because, that's just the way things are. But when we release that control and we start to just sit down with ourselves and we allow, we attach to our breath. We deepen our breath. We allow our breath to deepen within our bodies, which is a workshop that I teach. Deepening our breath, allowing our breath to fully work through our bodies. And when we come into that space of doing it, we can then allow our thoughts to just run free. We can then allow whatever emotions that are holding us back to just come up. And we are just releasing the control. We're releasing the resistance. and we can come into the space of surrendering. And when we're in the space of surrendering, we're just allowing life to flow through us. And that's when we can get very much inspired. We can receive messages. We can be creative. And we can just flow through life. And we can just become a better management of the resources that are being given to us in this 3D external reality. So you become a better manager, is what I'm getting, right? By relinquishing your idea or false ideology that you need to become the manager of everything that's surrounding you, by surrendering to by releasing that false ideology or that false belief, you then start becoming the manager of your internal world, is what I'm trying to say. And when you become that manager of your internal world, you become a boss man or boss woman, right? You start to just take whatever life gives you and manage it in a way where, your energy span or your attention span goes in the right direction, you start investing your energies in the right things that are fruitful to you. But you need to first come into that space, okay? That space of releasing control on these external things around us, because ultimately they are already being displayed, right? They are already there in this external world. They're already dead. let me not bring you guys to that space of saying that all that's around us is dead. It's not true. But it has already gone through the process of creation. It has already been created. Therefore, this is why they are being displayed in this 3D reality. But in order for you to be fully in flow with life, in alignment with your core, your soul, when you are tapping deep with breath, with release and surrender, you get to a space where you are much more in flow with life, and you are much more in a space where you find pleasure, that word pleasure, and then you are being reminded constantly that you are not here to be this boss, or however that sounds for you, that feels for you in your life, but you're there ultimately to create your internal world, okay? And when you start doing it from a place of surrender and a place of love or compassion, you then start to create your external world, but from that space being created internally, okay? That's one of the workshops that I do teach, you guys. I'm actually working on a program where, I feel that, we need to come to that space where we're stronger internally. We're no longer just being, pushed by the winds of life. We're no longer, we're coming into that space where we are reclaiming our powers. And, when we do, or when we get onto that journey, it's something that needs to be done internally. It's an internal work. It's an internal commitment towards oneself. And once you start doing that, then you can come from a space of balance. You can come from a space of love. You can show up in this world that is much more true to yourself, much more authentic. And you feel like you don't have to hold so much control over the external things, because that's not where the real control is, or that's not where the real power is. Okay, you guys, that was my little video on control, because like I said, the things that I share with you guys are things that I've experienced, things that I'm actually experiencing. So, we're doing this together, okay? I'm on my journey. Yes, my journey is going to be different from yours. It's going to be different from someone else's. But we can all share We can all learn. We can all, take little things here and there, apply it in our lives, and see magic unfolding because we are worthy, right? On that note, have yourselves a good week. Take care of yourselves. Deepen your breath, however that looks like for you, however you do that for you in your life, And yeah, peace.